Hey guys, today we're going to be doing character angles. Character angles is extremely important when rather than taking a face-on drawing of a character, rather than, again, just kind of face in the front sort of drawing, you're able to draw from different angles, a side angle, maybe the character's looking down at the camera, or maybe the character's looking up. Just character angles in general tend to make the character a little bit more lively and definitely just adds a kind of unique quality to it. So we're going to go over the basics, just very, very, very basic, with using geometric shapes to figure out, what angle we want our character to be in. Usually what you'll want to do is, I have the example here, you have a circle and you have a little, what looks like crosshairs or an X mark or plus sign, however you want to see it. And this is, what you would use to show a character looking directly on at the camera. It's more of the base, so usually you draw, the side of the face, the chin. This is not entirely symmetrical, but using that as an idea of, okay, so this is how, this is where the chin is, and this is where, the ears should go because the character's head is straight on. And of course, using this kind of base idea differs depending on what angle you want the character to face. So we're going to briefly go over that. So usually when you're drawing a circle, the circle is supposed to kind of signify, the point between, I guess, like the nose and the top of the head, and then you have the chin, which you would draw out underneath it. But when it comes to, angling, one of the most commonly used, I guess, methods is using the X mark. You'll see, as of right here, this is the center where the two lines cross, and those lines are used to indicate, okay, well, this is the specific direction. If you take the eyes, this is where the character's looking. The character's looking straight ahead. Now you can angle this and, have the line be facing this way, not directly in the center, or, for the most part in the center like this circle over here, and curve the lines to kind of show, a roundness to the sphere, because we're not, working with 2D shapes, we're trying to kind of replicate 3D shapes. That's what brings the character beyond kind of a 2D scape to make it feel more, again, feel more 3D and more lifelike in a sense, even if it is in a cartoonish style. So the crosshair in this case, this is the center point, and the center point is kind of pointing towards in this direction, so the character is looking to the right. And if you want to do it the other way, you circle the line here that goes up and down would more so be angled. And it doesn't necessarily, the line does not have to be completely straight. It can be curved a little bit, again, to show kind of that dimension. The best way to think about it is, if you take a like a volleyball or, bouncy ball or anything like that, just a round sphere, and you take string and you put string against the ball, it's not going to go, or if you don't hold it super taut or super tight and you kind of let it loosely kind of curve around the ball, the string won't be super straight. It'll kind of follow the ball's line. So with that in mind, you have this line here, and then you'll kind of cross again with the string method of, you're putting the string around. Here's kind of the general round shape of the sphere that we're looking at. And you can see from this, the character's head would be looking somewhat in this direction. It varies, especially when you're thinking about, characters where the angle, or if you kind of see your drawing as a camera angle, if your camera angle is looking at, is on the ground where it's looking up at the character, of course you have like the chin, where this would be kind of like a different case where you have the circle here, but really, let's say this is the chin, but the bottom part, because for the most part, people's the bottom underside of people's chins will be fairly flat, as the character is looking upwards. Again, usually with character headshots where you kind of just draw the head and shoulders of a character, or just in general casual and more passive character poses, you won't have something super complex like that. I would definitely recommend, definitely practicing with these two sorts of things first, the looking left and looking right positions, to get a little bit more comfortable with, how is the, what position are my character's eyes going to be in? The eyes should be generally around, in this direction, not necessarily in the center, like here. looking at the nose. I personally find noses to be extremely difficult to draw. So trying to figure out, what angle do I want to draw the nose? And how am I gonna show that it's looking from a certain view before kind of taking that information and that knowledge to the next level and looking at positions where the character's looking up. I would kind of remove these lines here for the circle because it is a little bit distracting and doesn't really, I guess, provide, it tends to muddy up the idea of what shape you want. So we're gonna, I guess, practice that with one angle. Feel free to pick, whatever angle you want to do. I'm going to just do the simple, I guess, looking to the right angle, just because it's, again, a lot easier and a lot, more, I guess, within the time frame we have, it's a lot easier to show in this case. So again, taking that line and going to the side. And so the character should be looking in this direction. Usually for pencil drawings, especially on paper when you're not working on a computer, which allows you to just go back and forth and easily erase things without it showing up. On paper, you definitely want to draw this, the thing that's in pink a lot lighter, so be very, I guess, gentle with your strokes. I wouldn't recommend using pen for this because, again, you can't really erase the pen. So just kind of just keep that in mind. And I like to, for the head, like a very basic kind of cartoonish head, because again, I don't really have the most realistic style, I would follow the kind of curvature of here and use that as, okay, so this is my character's, forehead. And as you're going down, as I've shown in this, you kind of extend out from the spear. So I would extend, maybe have a little bit of a cheekbone, because not everyone's faces are super flat. That's definitely something you'll see if you, I guess, look at the pictures of your family, friends, and kind of see how their face is shaped. That can give, I guess, a lot of insight to how you can shape faces, just because it's not going to be one generic thing. They're going to vary significantly, and kind of having, I guess, a diversified idea of how not necessarily normal faces, but just faces in general can look, can definitely make the process of shaping a face a lot easier. Again, practice is absolutely essential. By this point, you should have a fairly, decent idea of, where the eyes should be. So the eyes would maybe be around here. You can, of course, depending on the style, angle it a different way. So you'll have this eye around, in this direction here, and you have like maybe the little eyebrow or something like that. And then you get to kind of the angle part, where I'm just going to use this for reference. You see this would be like this, considered the center of the face, and the center of the face is not directly in the center, which should be kind of clear from, looking at an angle. So what I like to do is kind of use this line, a slanted line, to show, the bridge of the nose. Not everyone's face is going to look like this, but just for a very basic kind of character face, the bridge of the nose would kind of go up here in this direction, but it gives an idea of where the second eye should go, which I typically like to do the eyes first. Again, a lot of it is preference, so some people will want to do other parts of the face before they do the eyes, but that's just, something that I enjoy doing. For noses, I have a very, I guess, stylistic approach to my noses, so they're fairly simple. But you can see from here, this is supposed to be the centerpiece, the center of where the nose goes. And if you go up, kind of following, where the center of the face should be, the character's kind of, it looks like the character is looking not exactly straight on, but looking towards a certain angle. With these sort of baselines here, you could very much exaggerate it and have a complete, side profile, which is, I guess, very basically sketching this here, would be something like this, where the line would be here, and the line of the face would be very flat in this sense, and you can see that the character is looking definitely straight on one direction. You could put the ear here and, an eye, very, sloppy sketching, but kind of have that in mind. Feel free to, again, with just any of the videos that you're looking at, definitely feel free to go back. I would practice a lot with this sort of stuff, just because head angles or character head angles can be something that's slightly tricky, especially with proportions and making sure that certain parts of the face aren't super smush. Like with the eyes, I feel at certain times the eyes can be very smushed on one side and go a little bit further on the other. This could be used stylistically, of course, so if you feel like you really like the look of that, and it doesn't look super wonky or super out of proportion, which usually you'll have a fairly decent idea of how it should go, then that's fine. That's all up to you. But just for, I guess, a general tutorial standpoint, it's better to have a little bit less squished features. I would try practicing, what sort of I guess practicing the basics before then you go to stylistic, just because when you practice with a certain style and you don't learn I guess, general basic of how art, I guess, not necessarily that it has a specific way it works, because people do things differently, kind of gives you that, I guess, base point to then, expand into other styles and be able to apply, I guess, general rules and tips so that your drawing can look the best that it can. That's, I guess, the general kind of tutorial of character angles. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Again, feel free to go back. Definitely, I would definitely, for drawings in general, practice on your friends. Do self-portraits, draw, the shapes of people's faces and get an idea of where things should be. I would take notes on it, especially if you want to, improve drastically in the future. That is something very useful for people. And again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I can't wait to see you next time.